design and economy. And yeah, thank you for coming, and I hope you will enjoy it, and I'm sure it will be fun.
That's what you expect, right?
Well,
it's going to be fun here.
I know some parts of your workshops already, so I speak out of experience.
Awesome. Okay, Anna, thank you very much. Thank you for the opportunity to be here tonight. Good evening, hello, welcome. My name is KLAUS WEISSMANN. I work as service designer. That's my background. So give me very quickly, just your first name and what are you studying and where are you from? Quite quickly. Let's start here.
Ich heiße Anatol und ich studiere Industrial Design.
Industrial design. Okay. Where are you from? Austria or?
I'm from Austria.
Which part of Austria?
Vienna.
Vienna. Okay. Thank you.
Simon, I'm also studying industrial design. I'm from Tirol.
Tirol. Okay. Thanks.
Hi, I'm Christoph. I'm also studying industrial design and I'm also from Vienna.
Okay. Thanks a lot.
Hi, I'm Oren. I'm also studying industrial design 1 and I'm from Hungary.
Okay. Thanks.
I'm Franz. I study industrial design here and architecture at TU, and I'm from Niederösterreich.
Okay. Thank you.
My name is Sergei. I'm from Jerusalem, Israel, and I studied business.
You studied? You finished it? Or?
Now I work maybe now at a consulting company here.
Ah, okay. Thanks.
Hello, my name is Peter. I studied already design and product management in Salzburg, at the University of Applied Sciences. And yeah, since 5-6 years I'm running my own business in design management. So it's a mixture between product development and doing business with companies.
Okay. The only lady here? No, tell the two ladies.
My name is Vera. I'm originally from Russia. I've studied marketing and management here in Vienna.
Okay, thank you. And finally?
Architecture, applied arts,
from Tirol. Okay. Thanks a lot. So it's a good mixture of Austrian, Hungarian, Israeli. Anything else on the list? No. Russian. How could I miss Russian? First of all. And we have our cameraman here. Where are you from?
From Austria.
Austria? Okay. Okay, and you're focusing on what? Being?
Camera.
Okay. Good. So Anna invited me to talk a little bit about what am I doing and to talk to you about design thinking. Yeah. What do you already know about design thinking? Because I really do not want to tell you something that you already know. Yeah. But is there anything you've heard about or using it? What do you know about design thinking? If nothing, it's also okay. But just to get a picture. No idea? You? Design thinking?
No, I'm just the first semester. I have a little bit of a grasp of it, but I couldn't.
Okay.
Define it.
Okay. Any other clues? Design thinking. Have you ever heard about it?
Very easy crowd, but don't make me think you can say whatever you want.
Oh, this is awesome. I can tell you anything. No, I don't think so. You?
Of course, yeah. But to be honest, I'm very looking forward to what you can give us today, because design and design management and design thinking is some kind of cloud, and there is everything. But the last 2 years, 3 years, it's getting more focused, and students are getting more interested in. So I'm here to get, maybe some new input.
Okay. Yeah. In Israel, anything? Have you heard about design thinking?
Oh, I mean, maybe in a different definition. That's why I was waiting maybe for the designers in the room to give the definition before. But
okay.
I mean, design thinking in itself might be able to be applied regardless of working with design, but in a certain process of thinking, analyzing specific problems and then generating certain solutions for those problems, and then thinking about the audience and what they would want, and then designing it in this way.
That's it. Thanks a lot. Yeah. You summed it up. Yeah. What's about design thinking in Tyrol? Any experiences? You heard about that?
I can make ich kann mal denken, was es ist.
Okay. Was denkst du?
Dass man, die erste Variante wäre natürlich über Design nachzudenken.
Thinking about design, ja.
Ja, okay. Oder praktisch seine Gedanken einen Gedankenfluss in Designmustern aufzubauen.
Okay, wow, okay. Interesting stuff. Anna?
I know a bit about design thinking. I got some insights also from your side. And I think actually that in our study actually, or I actually think anyway that if you have a design process that you already have some knowledge about design thinking, but we don't really call it design thinking. So I think then when you tell us more about it, it will be more like, oh yeah, right.
Exactly. Yeah. This is probably where it comes up to a déjà vu from your side, where you think, what is this guy telling us here? Yeah, because normally I'm talking to business students or students who are studying medicine in CREMS, or general to business people. And when they hear about design thinking, they think about, it's thinking like a designer. Yeah, that's the basic idea behind it. So I don't have to tell you how to think and act like a designer because you're studying this stuff here, and I have no clue how you work. Yeah. And design thinking is an interesting mix between the business world and the design world. And whenever I talk to designer, they tell me like, you don't telling us nothing new. Yeah? It's basically, that's the way how we work. But the interesting thing is to introduce the thinking of a designer in the business world. And here's exactly where it really fits perfectly. And I brought you some examples that will show you very quickly, and you will understand immediately why design thinking is currently so booming all over the world. I will give you a little bit the story about design thinking, where it's come from, and it's basically, it was born in the Silicon Valley, born by IDEO, the big company who is basically working with these tools and techniques. And whenever clients call me up and they say, Klaus, we would like to learn design thinking techniques, I always give them one answer. What do you think?
Study design.
It's not about the technique.
It's about the thinking.
It's about the mindset.
Mindset.
And they're like, huh? Mindset? Yeah. And they try to hire me like if I would be a trainer for an Excel course. Yeah. Klaus, one day, design thinking, and afterwards they can do it. Yeah. And I say, sorry folks, but it's not working. Yeah, because you cannot think and act like a designer in one day. It's a mindset. Yeah? And there it's getting complicated. But let's go back to the big story. There's one story that is always introduced when it comes to design thinking. And I brought you that story because it's so... this was? No. Oh my god. Password again. Here we go. So, and whenever it comes to design thinking, it comes to innovation. Yeah? Do you know this story? Have you ever seen that story about? No? This is the big story about the incubator in Nepal. Because 10 or 12 years ago, the government of Nepal recognized that they had a real big problem. And the big problem was that young children were dying too early. Yeah? And they couldn't handle it, and they were basically contacting companies in Germany like Siemens, who was producing this incubator. And they said, listen, we need incubators because we have so many babies who come too early, and could you please design or build, create us an incubator? And Siemens was very happy and said, yes, awesome, great, we do it. Yeah, but the government of Nepal said, yes, but these incubators are too expensive for us. Can you make it for the half price? And the industrial designers maybe, or the technicians, let's call it technicians more than industrial designers, Siemens said, we try it, and they try it, and they came up with an incubator half the price of, and the government of Nepal said, but it's still too expensive. Yeah? And hospitals in Nepal said, it needs to be at least 10% of the original price. And they tried it, and they tried it harder, yeah, and they came up with an incubator, and they said, but it's not anymore an incubator, sorry. It's far too expensive. Yeah? And they gave it up. And then that's how the story was told. They went to Stanford University, to the D school, design school, yeah? And the design school were sending 2 teams to Nepal. 2 teams of 5 people. And what do you think that they did in Nepal?
Some research.
Yeah? Research about what? Or to learn what?
What is the current equipment that is used? Or
Yeah. Current equipment, yeah. What else? Materials. They started basically a design thinking process. The first step they did is they did research. But what did they research? What were they looking for?
And how many children are born premature?
Okay. What else?
And why did they actually die early? Like, what was the original reason?
Mm-hmm. What else? Hi. What did they do? Just imagine, if I would hire you for a project, let's say 2 weeks, joining me, come to Nepal, and we have to find an incubator or design an incubator at least to the price of 5 to 10% of the original Siemens product.
I will talk to the
the doctors and nurses.
The whole medical system.
To understand the whole medical system.
So
yeah.
Women came to the hospital, and the way to the hospital, maybe that's the reason why young babies die. So to get a closer look into it.
Into what exactly? To get a closer look, I totally agree. Yeah. Get a closer look into what?
How hospitals function.
How hospitals function, okay.
Like also how are they equipped inside?
How they are equipped.
They are trained, how they are financed.
How they are financed.
How much space there is, how
much space there is.
Conditions at all.
The conditions. What else?
What do they expect from this machine?
Who is they?
The doctors, the government, the people.
What else would be interesting to research?
Like in this case, the mothers and fathers of the children.
Yeah, why?
Because that's why? Because that's their das ist ihr Anliegen.
And that's exactly what they did. To make a long story short, they went to Nepal and they left the hospital. Yeah, they started in the hospital, but they asked them basically one question, and it's always the why question. Why do so many young babies die too early? Why? And they started their research in the hospital, and they left the hospital. And they went to the mountains of Nepal, yeah, 5,000 meters high, and what do you think that they found out?
The way do people live?
Yeah, they researched the way
babies die less. Or they compare maybe areas. I don't know, maybe if they went up to the mountains, maybe they wanted to compare the death rate between different places there.
Yeah?
Or maybe how women, what they did during pregnancy.
Ah, we're getting closer now. Exactly.
Affects the baby.
Exactly.
That's
yeah.
Maybe they were eating wrong things or they're doing wrong things. Or
maybe the religion. Because
what is causing the problem?
Yeah, exactly.
They grabbed deeper, and this is exactly what design thinkers do when they start their research. They always ask the questions why? Why do so many babies die so early in Nepal? Yeah? They left the hospitals because the first answer they got is the babies do not die in the hospital. Because when the baby arrives in the hospital, the baby is normally safe. So they learned that the problem starts quite earlier because the babies will never come to the hospital. So why do babies not come to the hospital?
The difference in air pressure.
Maybe. Yeah. What else?
Maybe in society there are some religion problems. So
Religion problems.
Maybe bad transportation.
Exactly. Very simple. They have no highways in Nepal. Yeah? Like in Austria, the A2, yeah? where you go within, I don't know, 15 minutes from A to B. Yeah? Bad transportation. So babies were born, and then they have a bad transportation system. It takes hours to bring a newborn baby from the mountain where they live, and a lot of people do live in the mountains and not in the cities in Nepal. So the problem is caused in the mountains. It takes too long to bring a newborn baby to the hospital. The baby's already dead when they arrive. Okay.
Excuse me, the government was so stupid they didn't know why it happens. I thought there is something like in the nature in the food which causes babies to be born premature, and that's why they die, and they need incubators. But didn't the government know the reason why babies die before they get to the hospital?
They just learned it. They started from zero. Yeah? And they were trying to research every field. And then they found out that over 80% of all mothers have never seen a hospital from the inside. It's not about a Western country. If you talk about Nepal, yeah? So 80% of all women in Nepal has never seen a hospital from the inside. So it takes too long to bring the baby to the hospital. So forget these, incubators. They will never work. Yeah?
Sorry, why did the government say we need those in the first place when the children are dead?
It's usually what happens with governments.
Exactly. They're asking for a solution. They think if we buy these incubators for hospital, the problem is solved. And this is one of the lessons I'm trying to teach to you today. Yeah? How design thinking works. Yeah? Grab deeper, deeper, deeper. Always ask the why question.
It sounds like a good consulting company, no? When
part of it, sure.
Yeah. They come with any problem and they research and find the way out. So it's
yeah. And here's the most important, the most important point is they tried to see it from the customer's perspective. In this case, first they thought the customer is the hospital. The customer is not the hospital in this case. Who's the customer?
Families.
Families.
actually the government who needs the rules. I mean, in the first place.
Who's the customer?
The children.
The mother, exactly. It all comes to the mother. Then they were talking to mothers. They were investigating, trying to figure out how mothers, what is the situation when they have a birth, what's the surrounding. Then they found out that there's less electricity in these mountain areas. Yeah? So it wouldn't make sense to bring an incubator like this to their home. Then they talked to mothers, they learned from mothers that they would never, never give a baby into a machine like this. They won't do it. Yeah? They said to them, okay, then the baby dies, but we would never lay the baby in a machine like this. So the solution was totally inappropriate at that point. And to make it short, the result of this incubator was that the design thinking team came up after 2 weeks with an incubator that looks like this. It's a totally appropriate solution for a mountain region in Nepal. And this was the first prototype. And it's not finished yet. When they gave these, in Austria we say Schlafsack, to the mothers, they brought the baby into the Schlafsack, and the baby was gone. And the mothers said, we don't use it. Why?
Because they want to feel the connection to the baby?
Even more. Exactly. They couldn't see it. Yeah? Because the babies were so small, they were just down, And the next prototype, and I saw this prototype this year in San Francisco, they had a window in front of it, yeah? And so the mothers always can see the baby. It's basically working like an ice cooler, but in the other direction. Yeah? You bring it on the back side, you have these water heaters, and you bring them in, and it keeps the baby warm. Very simple. You don't need electricity, the only thing you need is hot water. You have to warm these, what is it? Sleeping bags, yeah? You bring them in, and this is a material that's used in space, so the baby is totally warm, and that's everything they need. It's a very simple solution. Yeah? This is an example that shows how design thinking works, basically. Yeah? What is the basic idea of design thinking? And yeah, it's inspirational, it's simple, and it's efficient. And I always tell that we learn from designers, yeah? Because that's the way how you work, and designers basically work. And this is the place where everything started. It's the toilet at IDEO. Yeah? I made a picture this summer because it's looking so funny. Basically, that's the way where it started. It's David Kelly. I don't know if you've heard about him. Yeah, who was talking 20 years ago. It was 20 years ago to designers and business people from Harvard Business, from the Stanford Business School. And he explained to business people how designers work, and he started to do these design thinking projects. And actually 15 years ago they met with Hasso Platter from SAP in Stanford, and Hasso was like very impressed because, do you know SAP? Yeah? What's your picture about SAP? What comes in your mind when it goes to SAP?
Accounting software, big one with distributed databases, very clumsy interface until just maybe last year. The terror of every accountant.
Exactly, the terror of every accountant.
And some people say it stands for Saufen, Aufstehen, Programmieren.
Saufen, Aufstehen, Programmieren. Yeah, interesting. Why?
Because it has a horrible user interface. It's created to have a robust place for your data in a big company and model the processes and data of the company. And obviously the step between the end user and the model was not taken too serious too many times, so you always have to wade through account numbers and budget numbers and have to remember them in a way, and you can't really modify too much and put notes to it and so on. Mm-hmm. And it's just a bunch of tables in your face.
And everybody was frustrated, and everybody's using it because it was so successful. Yeah? And that's exactly the problem that the founder of SAP, one of the founders, Hasso Platter, recognized, that there were too many German engineers and technicians developing a product that was extremely successful, but has no interconnection to the user. So when he met David Kelly, David in Silicon Valley talked to him about how designers work, and he recognized that's exactly the way how we should work. We should think it through the glasses of the customer. Yeah? Which was absolutely a culture break at SAP. Yeah? And he founded the D School in Stanford, and then they brought it to Potsdam, to Germany, and now they bring it all over the world currently. Yeah? I'll be a guest speaker in D School in Cape Town in March, yeah? And I was really surprised that Cape Town has already a D School, and they were really focusing on the methods of bringing design and design methods and mindset in the company. And here's basically how I describe it, the difference between creative work, design work, and business work. Because you can see from on the left side, it's very linear. That's the basic work, how we would say very simple, yeah? How our business work functions. We have our current situation A, and we would like to have a future situation or goal B, and what we do is we do a project, we plan everything, and we do it linear as much as possible. Yeah? And then the reality comes and everything looks different. Yeah? But basically our hope is to come as fast as possible from A to B, yeah? While planning a project. So whenever you ask a creative person how do you work, yeah, they explain you basically a scenario here with this shown with the green. Yeah? It's totally a chaos, it's iterative, it's back and forth. Yeah? That's basically the way how people work who do creative work or designers. Yeah? What design thinking basically is doing is they're using both aspects. They use the iterative work of a designer, yeah, and the design process, and to transform it to do systematic innovation. And the systematic approach is not necessarily a linear approach, but it's again a systematic approach. And here's the picture. It's sorry that it's in German, but I hope that I can translate it to you in English. But basically what we do is, when we start service design, we start with an open question. How can we? Yeah? How might we? This is the basic start. And it starts basically with a long process with our clients that we try to figure out what is the right question. Yeah? And the whole process, basically until the ideation phase, is still focusing on, are we working on the right question? We don't know it yet. Yeah? The next thing is we are introducing the customer and the client in our work. Yeah? Very strong. Yeah? The next thing is we are really working with interdisciplinary teams. So we are not designing something by ourselves. Yeah? We're using interdisciplinary teams right from the beginning on, which is in the business world unusual because companies hire the best teams. Yeah? They had a lot of HR processes, yeah, to get the best people. But as soon as they have the best people, they are part of the culture of the company, and then everything is over. Yeah? Because they have to behave.
Excuse me, I didn't understand which teams you use. I didn't understand the word. Which teams you use?
The HR?
Interdisciplinary. Which means?
Which means that you have, from the beginning on, people from different perspectives.
Diverse group of people.
Exactly.
Yeah. That complement each other.
Because normally, as I said, companies only hire experts.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you're an expert in this, you're an expert in this, and together you have to be double experts.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah?
They look for homogeneous people that think the same way, behave the same way, and then
exactly.
they don't work together.
And this is the problem.
Yeah.
This is the problem. So this is really crazy. Normally when I talk to people from Vorstand in Austria, for example, or in Germany, yeah, when I explain them, we need only 50% of your experts, and we need people from out of the company. Huh? Yeah, it's always like, why? Exactly from that reason, to get another perspective, different views from the beginning on to this question. It's awesome, and the difference is really strong. Interdisciplinary teams and flexible rooms. Rooms are really important when we do design thinking. I will show you afterwards some pictures how design thinkers really work in rooms, because rooms are making a difference when it comes together when we work in teams. Yeah? Because normally we're used to work in meeting rooms, or people who work in a business context. How do these rooms look like?
Uninspiring at all. Like.
Uninspiring. What else?
Dry.
Dry, yeah. There's a table, yeah, you have a couple of seats around, that's it. Okay? That's not how design thinking rooms look like. Yeah? We need flexible rooms because we need to change the rooms always. I will give you a couple of pictures afterwards and you will immediately understand what do I mean when I talk about flexible rooms. So, and then there's the process, the way how to do it. Yeah, this might be not surprising to you because it's basically one of very usual design or innovation processes. For business people it is, because normally in business we are used to get a problem and find as soon as possible a solution. Yeah? In design thinking, we say we don't care about the solution. The only thing about what we care is, are we working on the right question? That means the teams try to understand the problem first. What is the problem? What is causing the problem? Yeah? As I mentioned before, we are going to Nepal and we go to the hospital, okay, but we try to find out what is causing the problem, and we find out probably after 15 minutes that the hospital is the totally wrong place to be. Yeah? We need to go somewhere else. Then we go out. Yeah? It's really research in the field. We are observing people, we are shadowing people, yeah? We are observing, we are watching people. We try to build up empathy with those people, and not just with the people in a certain situation. How are you, for example, using something? Yeah? You try to do the self-test. How would I use it? Yeah? Then we try to combine everything, all the information, because we're getting even more information. You see the double diamond here in the ground. The process is opening up in the problem room, then it's closing, then it's again opening up and together. We are trying to define it, we try to come up with some point of views, we do the creative product, we try to develop as much as possible ideas, we build immediately a prototype, and finally we test it with clients. That's the whole hocus pocus. And there is no hocus pocus. The hocus pocus starts when business people do it the first time, because they are not used to work to this. Yeah? This is really interesting. So, let's go back to praxis. Any idea why?
Because it's loud.
I guess they don't feel like they have any control.
Exactly. Yeah? You see how fast you can build empathy with this lady and the two boys. Because you give up any kind of control. This is a project, a design thinking project I made with a colleague in Graz this summer. He has a bicycle shop in Graz. Yeah? And he's a freak, of course, and being a freak, he's always asking himself, what's my next business? Because he recognized that only repairing the bicycle is not enough. So he always thinks, what could be the next business for my shop? And it was really hard to identify a question with him. How can we do this, or how can we do this? The only idea that he came up was, there are so many bikes stolen in Graz. Yeah? Yeah, but that's not enough to be really innovative. So what we did is, we started our research right on the ground. And we went out for 4 hours in the afternoon, only observing people who were bicycling in Graz. Doing nothing else. Walking through Graz, talking to people who were using their bike, trying to find out what really causes them, what is a problem to them, why do they use the bike, for example. Yeah. For what ways, in private or for a business reason. Yeah. And when we came back, it was a team of 10 people. We came back after 4 hours. 5 of 10 told us a story that they talked to parents, and 2 others observed parents shouting to their kids. And we were asking ourselves this question, and the same reaction. It's obvious. Yeah, it's obvious. But we've never thought about that. And then this guy said, okay, let's continue with that question. Yeah? Let's go a little bit deeper, try to figure out, let's do more research in that. Yeah? And basically, to make this story short, we came up with a so-called digital Fanglane. Is it Fanglane in English?
English.
Does everybody understand Fanglane? Do you understand Fanglane? Yeah. It's basically a system that is installed at the big bike here of the mother, that's with a brake at the children's bike. So you can turn it here around, yeah, a little bit, yeah, and the more you turn it in the front, yeah, the more the bike on the front side is getting slower. Very simple. So it's a digital system it was only a prototype, nothing else, based on an idea that somebody told us, a man we were talking to, he told us, it needs to be like my Fernbedienung, yeah? Yeah? Remote. And we said, wow, yeah, okay, let's design a remote for a bike. Have you ever thought about that? We said, no, never. Okay, let's do it. Everyone was like, huh? How could that work? We said, no idea, let's do it. Just build a prototype, try to figure it out. Now it's basically second, third prototype phase, and it's working. I don't know how they did it. Yeah? And here it comes. Design thinking is always used at the beginning of an innovation process. Yeah? Because you have prototypes and they got more technical, and then you need experts. But try to come up with the right idea, yeah, based on the information and customer insights. That's why we do design thinking. This is another project from a totally different area. And you see, this is one of my most important working material. It's called Lego Serious Play. It's really funny when you play Lego with, let's call business people, yeah, wearing their suits and ties and so on. Yeah? They are not used to it. But Lego is awesome, yeah, because it works like a systemic approach. And here we had to redesign the study course of the nurses in Krems. Because the nurses, or the studies, they went to the lady who is leading this course, and they said to her, it's just impossible to study here in Krems. It's impossible. And she always said, why? I do not understand you. Sorry, I don't get it. Why is it impossible? And after 4 years being in this position, she said, okay, we need to do something. Yeah? We need to talk about it. Why is it so impossible to study here in Nurse in Krems? Yeah? And what we did is basically, it's like a customer journey. We built up with Lego the whole 6 semesters. Starting with the first phase pre-semester, what's going on before, yeah? And then afterwards, what are you doing afterwards? And what they did is they built a current customer journey of their study, simply to find out, why is it not possible to study here in Krems? What makes it so hard? What makes it so difficult? Yeah? And here comes the interdisciplinary approach. We just did not do it alone with students. We did it with nurses. We did it with students in different semesters. We did it with doctors. We did it with teachers. We did it with the lady who is the rector. Yeah? So it was an interdisciplinary teams, and we introduced 2 other guys who had no idea, yeah, what it is to be a nurse, to work as a nurse, or to be a study, or to study something. Yeah? Awesome. Yeah? To get this interdisciplinary approach together, and just by showing or by to see, what the problems are, they figured out what the problems are immediately by using Lego, for example. Yeah? It sounds a little bit crazy, but it isn't. Yeah? Because Lego is very effective. You see exactly what it is. It's a 3D model of a problem. Yeah? It's basically what you see here is a problem prototype to understand the problem, yeah, with Lego. Another example is this one. You see the difference, or how many fields you can use design thinking. Have you ever heard about the HoloLens? Yeah? What do you know about HoloLens from Microsoft? What is it? Yeah? Can you explain it?
It gives you like an overlay of what you're actually seeing. It's like different to virtual reality, where you have like an enclosed virtual space that you're in, and the HoloLens overlays your actual vision of the real world with some image, some information which you can...
It's like you can touch things there, right? And feel how it would feel if you really touch them. Is that...
It's more visual. It's just not augmented reality.
Yeah. And the question from Microsoft was basically, we have developed the HoloLens, and now we need business cases for the HoloLens. What kind of business cases are there around in the world with HoloLens? And it was me, like, the first time wearing a HoloLens, and I had actually no idea what HoloLens is. And there was this naked human man in front of me, and I was attaching with my finger an app. It's called Medicine Course, how the human works. I attached it, and suddenly this man showed up, and I could see this man dart in front of me, and I was like, ooh, okay. His heart, you know, and his brain, and his arms, and veins, and everything. I'm like, wow, okay, interesting. And this is an example from ThyssenKrupp, the German company, who is building these elevators for homes, yeah, for elderly people. And this is a typical business case that was developed with design thinking, because when they wear this HoloLens, it's a typical B2B approach. Yeah? They just developed these for these people who go into the houses, and they have to measure these steps. And they do it now with the HoloLens. They have to measure it, and within a couple of seconds, the gentleman or the lady who wants to buy this elevator, yeah, that brings them up along the steps, can see it. And one of the most important customer insights when they did their research with this project was that the elderly people who are going to buy this elevator at home, this mobile home, yeah, they are really frustrated. Why? What do you think? Why? It's very human.
Why they couldn't walk the stairs?
Yeah, it's the first time that they recognize that they're really getting old. Yeah, they're retired and they can't move themselves, yeah, to the first floor. It's a really frustrating and depressing moment. It's very, of course, it's hard to recognize that. And then they come in and they do it. But showing them, you know, how they can do it, yeah, totally make a really different approach to them. Yeah? They see it with HoloLens. So this was the basic idea, and the job was to identify more business models for mixed reality approaches. And mixed reality is it's a huge development. It's coming also to Europe. It's even more developed in the States currently. But it's really interesting, and we figured out a lot of approaches for medicine uses, for example. Mobile driving, yeah, it's really great when you think about that. Yeah? And of course, it's the whole teaching and education area. Yeah? Teaching and educating with HoloLens is really awesome. Yeah? We just cannot imagine it currently. And this is a problem where we're always focusing. We cannot imagine it. Yeah? Because it's the future, and as long as we don't prototype the future, it's unvorstellbar. Yeah? And this is a big problem, but I don't have to tell it to you in that approach. So when we do design thinking in the business context, we're always working in these, in the context of these three areas. On the first hand, we would like to have a technology like the HoloLens. Yeah? And we currently do not know what to do with this technology. On the other side, we have the business. We would like to make money with this technology, and then we have this human approach, and in the middle is innovation. Just think back to the incubator example. Yeah? We had a technology that was not appropriate for the people, and there was no business case behind it, of course. Yeah? HoloLens, the same situation. We have a technology, we have humans, yeah? And we don't know if they really want to use it, what would they use it, and because we bring these two together, we have a business case behind that. Another example is how design thinking could be used in communities. You probably know these participation processes, yeah, in communities. But this is a good example. You know the Maria-Hilfer-Strasse in Vienna, and you probably knew or were aware of the political problems that were caused by this big transformation process. The Green Party came up with this idea. They were fighting hard for it, and there were a lot of, as normally when you do a project like this, there were a lot of people fighting against it.
Against making it
against basically everything. Yeah. So what we did is this was an example. We invited 10 stakeholders who were involved. Not no politicians on the table. Yeah? Let politics out. It's important because they always behave like party politicians. The Greens and the Reds and the Blues, they were always fighting against each other. So forget politicians. Yeah? Bring people in who are really involved. People who live in the Marienstrasse. Yeah? People who have a shop there. Yeah? People who have to cross the Marienstrasse every day because of certain reasons. Bus drivers, yeah? Bicycle drivers, people who are always in the Marienstrasse, and let them build the Marienstrasse with Lego again. And then rebuild it, redesign it, and make it a green zone, or wie sagt man, eine Begegnungszone, yeah? Where they can meet. And just think about, what is the real needs of every stakeholder behind, and talk and discuss it, yeah, and figure it out how it could work. It took us one day to come up with a model how to do it, and then the way how to do it, which is even more important. Yeah. And everybody accepted it finally. So it's another approach how to use design thinking, to think basically user-centered. So, just to come up with some final charts, this is very American, yeah, very typical American, I would say that, but this is the mindset that we need. It's the called yes and mindset. Instead of saying yes but, design thinkers try to say yes and, because it's opening everything. Yeah, we used to say yes but Klaus, have you thought about this and this and this and this? Yeah, meaning trying to support the other person, but basically it's not about yes but, it's about yes and. Yeah? Fail early and often is a totally unusual approach in our business context. Failing is no option. Yeah? Failing is no option. And we say fail as early as often. Fail fast. To learn. Yeah? You see there's a Paradigmenwechsel. Yeah? It's a total change of paradigm. Because we try to build cheap prototypes and learn as quick as possible. Yeah? It's a different approach. Leave titles at the door. Super. Yeah? There's no doctor and no magister and no master here in this room. We are only Hans, Franz and Maria here. Yeah? We don't care about titles. It's totally unusual when you work in a company in Austria. Mm-hmm. Yeah? So you have to break with these rituals. Yeah? In Austria, when we do design thinking, in general, when we do design thinking, we use do. Everybody's per do in Austria. Yeah? In English it's easier, but in Austria it's still unusual when you do that. Yeah? Avoid criticism. It has to do with yes and. Then the quantity is it. It's not the quality. We're always focusing on quality first. Yeah? We don't care about quality in design thinking. Right at the beginning, we try to produce as many ideas. It's a different approach for business people. Yeah? Be visual. As Steve Jobs said, show me. Yeah? We are used to have a lot of written papers and concepts, yeah, with a lot of text. Yeah? We don't care about text. Show me a picture of the problem first. Sorry, I don't get it. We are not used to paint. We are not used to play with Lego. Yeah? But the method is simplifying. Simplifying by using these methods. Let's have fun, extremely important. Yeah? Extremely important. Build on ideas of others. Wow! This is awesome. Building on ideas of others. So it's not your idea. I can take your idea and make something different out of it. Normally, we behave like this is my idea. Why should I give you my idea? You're going to be successful with my idea? I don't share it with you. Never. Yeah? It's a different approach. Stay focused. Dare to be wild, of course. And one important thing here is don't talk, do.
So in your job, when you deal with customers, how do you deal with their resistance to all of this? Because
I kick them.
Okay, so basically
I kick them. I kick them more. Do I kick them? I kick them. No.
You shake them a bit.
I shake them a little bit. I have to shake them because they are not minded in that mindset. Yeah. So it really depends on the culture of the company. Yeah. But sometimes I'm really forcing them to do something that they would never do without me, honestly. But you have to cross this line. You have to cross this line. If you don't cross it, yeah, you don't get it. And this has a lot to do with fun, yeah, doing some funny stuff, yeah. But basically, that's the way how I work. So, as I mentioned, interdisciplinary teams. This is a typical room. I'm coming now to the pictures. Yeah. Interdisciplinary room. You see, it's not a meeting room. What is the difference to a meeting room here?
Standing.
You're standing.
Yeah, there are no chairs basically.
No chairs, exactly. There are chairs, but
I mean, not yeah.
Yeah,
but also there is a big window where they can look outside. So it's
yeah. They're using whiteboards. Yeah, they always have to visual. They always have to draw, for example, using post-its. Yeah, it's totally different. The next one is building up empathy and observation. Get people out of their rooms. Honestly, get them out of the street. Everything is totally different. I remember I was working last year together with the 10 top management of a big international telecom company, and they were sitting together in a workshop with the question, we do not understand why our customers are so silly because they always tell us that they have problems to open a telephone account in our super shops.
So we'll try.
Exactly. And they asked me, you know, do we really work on this question? Should we really work on this question? We've done everything. The process is so lean. Everything is perfect. Yeah. And I told them, okay, let's try it out. When was the last time you opened a telephone account for yourself in one of your shops? Silence. And I asked it again, when was the last time you opened it? And I asked every person sitting in the room. And within 1 minute, it turned out that nobody from them ever opened their telephone account by themselves.
So they do most of them their customers.
Because they have assistants who is doing it for them. They only get their new iPhone, something like this, yeah? And it works, it's all it works. So what would you recommend then?
Try it out and see.
Exactly. And I said, would you like to do an experiment?
What was it again? Sorry?
Where?
Where was it?
In Austria.
Yeah.
Here in Vienna. And I said, folks, okay, you have 2 hours to get out and come back with a new phone here and do it in your shop and do it in other shops. Yeah, from your concurrents. Yeah? And they were really like, no, why do you want to do it? This is silly, this is crazy, blah, blah, blah. And I kicked them out. I really kicked them out. And after 2 hours they returned, and there was only 2 out of 10 who came back with a functional telephone. And the others said, we failed. We didn't understand what this lady or the process or whatever, they failed. Self-test. Self-test. Yeah, it's extremely important. Empathy, building up this empathy is necessary. This is a typical design thinking room here in Potsdam at the AD school. You see, there it looks more like a kindergarten for adults than a meeting room. And that's exactly what we need. This is what I meant when I talked about a flexible room concept. Yeah? You see, they have sofas, they have chairs, they have whiteboards. They have on the right side they have prototyping material, yeah? And they have to watch, because we're always working under time pressure. This is very good to give you only 20 minutes to come up with a result in the team. Awesome. Yeah? Instead of I give you half a day, then you come up with something. Design thinking is very much tactic, yeah? And it's always working under time pressure. And of course, we use the wisdom of our hands. We always try to build prototypes of our solutions. So we have no written concepts of something. We come up with a prototype. We test it as soon as possible, and we try to fail as soon as possible. So here's one of my last charts. It gives you the whole picture as I currently see it when I work with the companies. Why do companies use design thinking? Why do they introduce, and why is it so let's say, successful currently, or why do so many people try to work with it? It's basically a lot of companies have pressure to innovate. Yeah? They have products who are running out of their life cycle. The whole big development of the digitalization is tracking everybody currently, everybody, and nobody really, or nobody is not right, but a lot of people do, and companies do not really understand what it means to digitalize something. Yeah, they think in a linear way. Yeah? They think we have to make the next product, but if you're really facing the digitalization, it's not about the next product, it's about the next business model. Because everything is based on data. If you have data, if you have access to data, you are able to design the next model. Yeah? But a lot of projects are analog currently. And they think, how can we make an analog product digital? And it's not working. Yeah. And this is a big transformation in the whole business. So they have this digitalizing deficit. They are facing an innovation culture that is not an innovation culture. As one of the leading Austrian CEOs, Mr. Hanzengruber from the Verbund once said, he said, the challenge that my company has is I have built Kraftwerke, he said power plants. In the last 50 years, my company has hired people to build power plants. Okay? Makes sense, of course. That's what they did. Now, I should digitalize all the energy market with these people who are basically used to build power plants. It will not work. There is no innovation culture in a company who are used to build power plants. So this is a big problem. And how can we introduce innovation culture or develop innovation culture in a company like this who are used to build power plants? The business model development is totally different when you work with digitalization. The development of culture failure, as I mentioned before. Yeah? If you build a power plant, failure is no option, honestly. Of course. Yeah? If you're working for Airbus, for example, failure is no option. Correct. Yeah? One failure is causing a big problem. Yeah? Creativity, therefore, is very low. Yeah? Customer-centered is developing a little bit more, yeah? Introducing the customer, but many companies are only working on market research. They hire some market research institutes to do have the contact with the client. And design thinkers are always contacting their clients by themselves, build up empathy. It's making a big difference. Collaboration, co-creation means to introduce these clients to develop together with them the projects, the products or services. That leads to an agile workload. It's totally agile instead of the planning. Yeah? Cross-industry means suddenly a bank is cooperating with a power plant company. A company who is producing marmelade, for example, in Osterlo is cooperating with a startup in Seattle. Why not? Yeah? This is cross-industry. Rapid prototyping, and of course, and this is the most important thing, that's why it's green, it's called pivoting. Do you know what that means?
Switching. Right? Pivot point is
it's a switching point. Yeah? If you translate, it's in Wandel. Yeah? The moment where we recognize that we were working on the wrong question. So I'm returning to the basic idea of design thinking is, are we working on the right question? Pivoting is a moment where you were searching something for something and suddenly you recognize, hey, we have to focus on something different. And this is extremely important, the most important point, where companies find out it's not about the analog product or service. It's about the digital one, how to do it. We need to do it totally different. We need to cooperate with totally different partners. We need to think about it from the customer center, as Hasso Platter started to reinvent and redesign SAP as a whole company, which is quite difficult, of course. Yeah. But that's what he did in the last 20 years, and he's currently very successful with it, because SAP is one of the leading companies currently in the Silicon Valley. You might laugh. You might laugh. Yeah. Whenever you have the chance to visit the Silicon Valley, check it out, and you will be surprised, yeah, about the mindset of SAP and the way how they work in the Silicon Valley, and how many American companies say that this summer they said to me, we have to do it like SAP is doing it. And I was like, wow, yeah, there's something changed here. So, final chart from my side is 2 quotes. Design thinking has nothing to do with the revolution. You'll probably figure it out in the last 45 minutes I was talking to you. It's a common sense, and it's a return. Yeah? The basic skills and mindsets like respect, togetherness, courage, literal thinking. That's it. Yeah? You see it as no hocus pocus, but returning. And the second thing is really important. Christoph Meinl from the Hasso Platter Institute in Potsdam said it. Superficially, companies change their products and services with design thinking, but in reality, they change themselves. It's the way how they work, the way how they cooperate, the way how they do things, and the way how they achieve things is a different way, and that's why they change themselves. Yeah? And this is very much to the point. Yeah? How I see it, and from my perspective, it's really awesome how you can change with the design approach a company, or to transform with the design approach an organization or a community, for example. Yeah. I think that's it. Yeah, thanks a lot.
Thank you. Can I ask one question?
Go ahead.
I think it was really very interesting. Thank you. I was thinking about one part which I guess plays like the major role in any business is the cost. You might suggest a certain solution, but it might be so expensive that it doesn't pay off to actually bring it into life. So at which point you estimate, or how, other than making just a real detailed business plan, at which point you estimate if this idea really has a life, or it's just an idea which you shouldn't even start with?
It has a lot to do with how serious the prototype is already. Yeah. So if you really can figure out. I give an example. I'm currently working with a very well-known Austrian newspaper that we redesigned their ABO concept, customer relationship concept, basically. Yeah. And we did a lot of research, and we did the ideation process, and within the ideation process there was one idea where the CEO on Friday said, this is just awesome, thanks a lot, I can do it on Monday. And I called him up this morning, and he said to me at 12, Klaus, I already did it. Yeah, so this was an idea, a prototype that they really could do it immediately, change something. Yeah, he just never thought about it. Yeah? Mm-hmm. And of course there are some other prototypes, they would probably do never. Because it's too complex, it's too cost intensive, yeah? And the rest is in between. So because you're getting out so many ideas of this process, yeah, you have to select those who are probably close, that you can change it, and others you have to design it. It really depends on the idea. Yeah?
Still, if I can still add to this question, because you don't need to quantify the problem to a certain extent. So just like you said with the remote control for the bicycle, I think that besides observing the actual parents with their children, you need to see how many parents with children drive every single day, how many of them could afford it or see it as a problem at all. So then you will see basically whether it pays off to produce this prototype and the cost of production compared to the expected revenues, and then you will calculate it. So
absolutely.
I was just maybe looking to see the part also about the quantification of the problem, because the problem can be very real for one person, and it might not be in any need to solve it. While there is an actual problem. Just
I totally agree. Yeah. This is something you have to figure out on the way. Yeah. That's why I'm always come back to the question: are we working with the right question? Are we still working on the issue that is really causing a lot of people or causing a lot of revenues at the end of the day? Yeah.
So that's one of the criteria for the right question.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, what would you suggest becoming designers in a way? I mean, we know kind of the design thinking process, but is there something where you say, in a way, when we interact with business people, where, because we still feel kind of this huge gap between, like, when I talk to a business person, I feel it's like an alien person because we think so different in a way. Like, what
can you go the other way around?
Yeah.
Any idea why?
Different mindset, different goals.
Everyone thinks they're better than the other.
Maybe, yeah, good point. Yeah.
I think that design is, I mean, like you said with the design thinking, design for me is somewhere in the clouds as well. Like it's
what is it?
It's a nice, beautiful, limitless way of thinking where everything is possible. And then the businessman comes and says, nothing like this is possible actually, and nobody wants this, and this is not functional, and this is too expensive, and the material is too expensive. So it's like the guy that crushes the party basically.
Yeah.
And that's why I guess they don't get along so well. Some of us do get along well.
Recommendations are very hard to pronounce, but what I see, for example, at Stanford University, it's really interesting to see how students from so many different disciplines, medicines and psychology studies and business studies and history, music science, for example, work together in a design thinking project. It's really awesome. It's unbelievable if you really take it serious with this interdisciplinary approach. And that's what as a Plato really success is, basically that the cooperation with the design school and the Stanford universities, they are forced to. They have to. If you study music science, for example, in Stanford, you have to join a design thinking project in your, I think, 3rd or 4th semester.
Okay. And it's part of the curriculum?
It's part of the course, yeah. And this is really awesome. And this is the first time that they work together. And this is, for example, I was trying to introduce in Krems too, the Fachhochschule. And it's this year the first time that business people work together with nurses, because we redesigned the study course of the nurses. It's really awesome. You see, there are so many from the personality. They are so different. Business students and nurses, for example. Nurses are very down to earth. Yeah. Business students are very flippy. Party crashes all the time. Yeah. Yesterday in Istanbul. Yeah. Tomorrow in New York. Yeah. High flyers. And nurses are really down to earth. They've seen really dramatic situations. If they do a mistake, you know, it can be a problem, a real problem, cause a real problem. Yeah. And they are saving lives probably. Yeah. And it's the mixture, yeah? It's the different approach. They work together and they learn from each other in a way they would never have thought that they would. Right at the beginning, they're always fighting against. They're always like, huh? Nurses? No. Honestly.
Maybe to add on your question, is that designers, in my opinion, have the problem that design is very subjective, right? It comes from their previous personal experience. And when dealing with customers, it's very difficult to satisfy customers compared to business people. Business people would analyze it very logically and offer certain solutions, and the person who is not, or the customer who is an average person, probably not a designer, has a much easier time to see things in a logical way than in an imaginative way. So they cannot see the same way as a designer compared to a business person. So how can a designer really work with customers and adjust their product and what they produce for them specifically compared to a business person?
I'm not sure if I agree with your point of view. Was your point of view that business people have it easier to understand the way customers?
No, the customers have an easier way to understand the suggestions of business people, the vision of a business person. The guy asks a question, the customer approaches the guy and asks a question about what my customers will want next. The business person analyzes maybe previous behavior, analyzes the market, and then offers a certain offer. And there is a clear logic to it. The designer might come up with something much more creative, or much more, you know, that might not be based on anything that is actual data, I would say. You know, and so in this case, it might be much more difficult for the designer to work with the customer, because eventually the customer is paying. You know, so I'm just thinking that if you want to market your services, you know, you need to learn how to work with customers. They don't know what they want really, so you need to
exactly. And this is a big problem design thinkers face, because it's so easy. Let's ask the client. Yeah? The client never gives you an answer. That's why we need really good designers who are able to translate what they probably could need. And as long as you don't show it to them, they cannot imagine it. Yeah? That's the old Henry Ford problem. Yeah? You have to show it, you have to design something, you have to explain it, you have to either you paint a picture or you have artificial something, yeah, to understand it. Yeah? And I think business people you have to be careful not to generalize everything, but they're not too used to show something and produce something in terms of, they're more to, let's say it that way, that they're more used to produce a PowerPoint presentation. Yeah. For example, when I work with my clients, PowerPoint is not allowed. Yeah. And I always get the feedback, yeah, but how can we explain it to them? Yeah. And I always say, show it. Yeah, but how? You think about it. No, we're used to produce a PowerPoint and have a lot of text in it, yeah? A lot of text instead of showing. That's the way, and diagrams and everything, yeah? To explain everything on a factual level. Show it. And I think this is a benefit that designers have. They are basically used to it, to show something, you know, to produce something, to translate a need from a client to something. It's a benefit you have. Yeah, it's the same as you did the last when we did this last design thinking workshop. I was the only one who was painting something, and immediately everybody could understand it. No, yeah, but nobody else did it.
But also because just because they're not used to it, and they're again fear of not being able to paint it, and it's like connected to other things. So so as we just catch it, and even though it looks very crappy, as
doesn't
long as
matter.
they understand
It's a first prototype, nothing else. Yeah. It's like the famous picture on the serviette. Yeah? Easier than 250 pages of PowerPoint. Yeah? Easier to understand. Either you get it or you don't get it. Very simple.
I'm just thinking about it, what to say from let's say personal experience that I go and to give presentation to in meetings or stuff like this. It would be more effective to show it, but I'm not sure what is the perspective of the other person, like the customer, for example. Imagine you meet a bank and you start drawing to them compared to showing them the numbers, they will kick you out of the room. In some cases, you know, it means that both sides will be open to this method in a way. Don't you think?
Yes, I agree. But on the other side, you know, if I go to this flip chart over there and paint something, you might be able to understand it easier or not, and I will have quick feedback. On the other side, I could give you a 10 minutes PowerPoint presentation with a lot of text. I'm talking to you and you can read it. Doesn't make sense.
So you suggest maybe to test it with the customer. So
for
try
example,
to do something, see how they respond to it, and then see.
For example, when I was currently asked by a company to develop a concept about open innovation for them. And I said to them, okay, let's develop it together with your clients, stakeholders, and people who work in your company. Huh? We expect that you come up with a concept class. You tell us how to do it. And I told them, sorry, I don't know how to do it. Yeah? I give you a quick job. I give you a quick first prototype. Yeah? It's here on the paper, it's a picture, and let's start, let's do it, let's develop it together. Co-creation, it's called co-creation. Yeah? It's awesome because I received ideas and thoughts and opportunities I would have never thought. Yeah? And they are able to design this project by themselves. So it's not my project, it's their project from the beginning on. It's a totally different approach. And I agree with you, it is different, and it is probably for them it's hard to understand, but on the other side, the quality is even better. Because it's only my brain who is so grateful. Yeah, there were 10 brains working on one question. And I was happy to summarize and visualize their ideas. Super. And everybody of them were talking around and saying, oh, let's do this project, blah, 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 blah. Yeah? So it has another power. Yeah.
What about when you are designing a service, not a product?
Mm-hmm.
And for example, the design service by nature is intangible. So how would you show it?
A service?
I mean, you can only show the customer journey. That's the best you can do. But
it's a customer journey. When I design a service, I send them out, self-test, experience it by yourself. Then I use, for example, improvisation theater. They have to play it, yeah, to get it to the point, to feel it, to be the customer who's going to be pissed off in front of something. Yeah. If something is not working, for example, in the internet, yeah, it's really important that they have this empathy. If they don't make this empathy part, yeah, it's even harder because they still think that the customer thinks that. Yeah, in this case, they were playing the customer. So improvisation theater, process visualization is very important. Customer journeys, for example. Yeah? And by having that, it's basically that's it what you need. Yeah? And you can design a lot of services. It doesn't matter if it's a banking service, for example. It's an app development. Yeah? These are the basic tools that were used. You can always work it right at the beginning with Lego, for example. Yeah. Then you have to transform the information that is in the Lego model to a business concept, of course. Yeah. Then you design it, you make prototypes, you test it, and it's basically always the same.
Do you ever had the problem that the people you were working with refused to accept the methods like painting or like Lego bricks, or because I imagine it's kind of hard, especially if you work with people who are not used to these techniques, that they accept it and that they are not kicking you out or
Yes. They hate me. Yeah? Thank you for this question, honestly. Yes, intrinsic motivation is extremely important for design thinking. If you're not intrinsic motivated, in Austria we say if you're geschickter, yeah? Somebody who is forced to, yeah? it will not work, honestly. Yeah? Let's say it that way. Yes, it is sometimes complex because people are not used to work in improv theater or going out, doing research, talking to people, listening, building up empathy, being somebody else a day long, for example, yeah? Walking the shoes of the client a day long, yeah? Playing with Lego, yeah? But on the other side, first of all, it's a group dynamic, so you don't have to do it by yourself. You always do it in a group, in the team. So if you do it, I do it also. Okay. Yeah, really. Using Lego is extremely effective because it takes normally 2 minutes, and everybody is in it. Yeah. I don't know why, but we all know how to use Lego. You don't have to explain so much. Yeah? And I had this funny experience last year when I was working in Berlin with Google. And it was a really big workshop with 30 DAX companies from Germany, and there was this one CEO from this oil company, and I explained them how to use Lego and build a problem prototype in their team, and he came over to me after I explained it, and the team started, and he said to me, "Klaus, I can't do it. I can't do it." And he was really serious with me.
Play with Lego.
I can't play with Lego. And I was like, okay, yeah, no problem. So what are you doing then? I need to go out to have some important calls and so on. So, okay, yeah, come back whenever you want. After 5 minutes, he came back watching what the other people do. And he came over and said again, "Klaus, I'm so sorry, but I can't do it." And I said, no worry, no stress. You don't have to. There is no need to. "Yeah, but all the others do it and I can't do it." I said, "Yeah, don't worry. Maybe you watch a little bit, or you go for a coffee, or you come back later. It's up to you. It's your decision. Yeah, never force someone." Yeah? And after a coffee, he came back to me. He was watching again what his group was doing. Yeah, so from the outside a little bit, and the group was asking me, "Where is he? Where is he?" And I said, he had some important calls to do. But anyway, he came back to me and he said, "You never asked me why I can't do it." And I said, "Yeah, there must be a reason, but it's your reason." And he said, "No, Klaus, I have everything in my head. I have everything in my head." And I said, I understand. Yeah, he was not able to transform all his great ideas and all his big analytic capacity in his head. He was not able to use his hands, and he was not used to it. And I said, "It's okay. Everything is in your head. It can't get out of his head." Yeah. Okay. And after another 10 minutes, he was watching the group, and after 15 minutes, he took the first brick in his hand. it was really interesting to see how this, let's say, 60-year-old man, CEO from a big company, yeah, got this red Lego brick, and he was only observing, and suddenly he said no, no to his group. Yeah, and the group was like, huh? Who's saying no? Ah, you're still here, great, yeah, no, yeah. And he started to rebuild the whole system, yeah. And after an hour, he was totally integrated, and he enjoyed playing Lego, yeah. And then when he left, he said to me, please do not tell anybody that I did it. And I said to him, oh, it's bad because I had so many pictures. What the hell am I going to do with the pictures showing you playing Lego? Yeah? No, but this is a symbol. The story is a symbol, yeah? Because we have a lot, I think we have a lot in our heads, but we are not used to use the wisdom of our hands to redesign or to design something. And I think that's one of the basic skills you have as a designer, using your hands to do something with your hands instead of sitting in front of a computer, yeah, and typing something in. That's the difference, I think. Yeah? He is a great designer. Great business designer. But he would never say it to somebody. Okay, thanks a lot for coming. Anna, thanks a lot for your